What's going on, guys? This is Martyrs Brigade 99 coming to you once again with another session of Dark Souls commentaries. Alright, so we're in Darkroot again, right? And for all you good old high-speed PvP fans, we're not necessarily here, well actually I can't even say not necessarily. We're not here for PvP, right? We're here in pursuit of the enchanted ember. Now, if we happen to run into some PvP, well, that's fine, right? But that's not the intention. We have a lot of time later on, you know, for some invasions and to do some invasions. Maybe even some grave lording. I was trying to think about whether I should just be a dark wraith, as I usually am, or should I try the grave lord? Now, one thing about the Grave Lord, I kind of experimented one time before, and one thing that I do not like about the Grave Lord Covenant, you can actually be standing there for a super long time waiting to be invaded, and that's one thing that I don't like about the Grave Lord, right? I know it's cool to me that you're kind of infecting the worlds of other players, but the fact that you have to wait so long makes it like unattractive. So I don't know. I'm thinking about once I get to the kiln, maybe Grave Lord there. That way it would increase my likeliness of getting invaded. All the while I'll be avoiding the gankers, right? Now I will be doing some outright invasions, but at the same time I think I might hit the Grave Lord once I'm there. So we'll see. Well, actually, I don't even think... Well, yeah, yes, I can, because actually, I could just go ahead and buy a few cracked red-eyed orbs, and then just go ahead and take some of those Eyes of Deaths with me. So we'll see. We'll decide as the series go on. Alright, so as you guys can see, well, I'm kind of backing off from this guy, because he's not really doing anything, right? I really don't like these type of PvPers, right? Now, I've been criticized in the past, right, because they say that, you know, I make negative claims against what they call strategic PvPer, right? Well, I mean, I don't make claims against anybody, but me personally, when I invade, right? I'm not trying to play a tactical game, you know. I'm not trying to hide behind tree. This is not strategy as far as I am concerned. Now, if other people see, you know, invasions as a strategic thing, well, that's other people. But me personally, when I make my comments about an invader, it's because I have my own playstyle. And, you know, as an invader, I'm thinking that your job is to invade, right? Not play hide and seek, not hide behind trees, none of that. Right? So, that's why I have the opinion that I have. Alright. So, as you guys just saw, there was a chest there, and that chest contained the enchanted ember. Now, if you guys are familiar, I just recently, I don't know, maybe a week ago, maybe 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks, something like that, I put together a parry instructions video. If you guys are unfamiliar with it, you could just check out my videos. It's there. And I had a method for parrying the faster weapons, the Yukis, the Lighto, the Chaos Blade, the Balder Sword, and some of these others. Now, that method seems to not work with the Falchion, right? It seems not to work with it. I have tested that method with this particular weapon so many times, and it simply does not work. Now, let me kind of correct myself. It might work, but maybe in my attempts, I just haven't been able to do it. Right? So if any of you guys out there have any suggestions, or if you've been successful in parrying the Falchion in ways other than the blind parry, right? Because anyone can kind of just, walk up to you and, hit the blind parry. But I'm talking about for the R1 spammers. If any of you guys have found an accurate means to parry the Falcon, when they're spamming that R1, just go ahead, drop a comment, and probably I'll do another video with that, because I think to the extent that you are faced against your opponents that wields this weapon, probably putting a video out showing it and demonstrating it would be helpful to everybody. Right? So if you guys have found a good way other than the blind parry, drop me a line, and I'll go ahead and test it, and if it works, I will upload the material for everyone to share. Alright, so we now have the enchanted ember, and we're just basically, well not yet, excuse me, I'm kind of speaking ahead of myself. So now we have the enchanted ember, and at this point we'll go ahead and leave Sif alone, right? We're just going to go ahead and move on with the gameplay. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and exit Darkroot. Alright, knock out the trees, standard data. Alright. Change up my look a little bit. I haven't really decided what my alternative armors will be. So I don't know. I know I'm going to use the dingy set as the primary armor. But, in the event that I'm in a kiln or somewhere else, or may need some additional defense, I will probably come up with a secondary armor set. So yeah. Alright. The gold hem garb. That armor set was pretty cool when the game first came out, but they nerfed it. It actually had some pretty decent defensive stats, and actually a lot of new players used to use that. You can almost tell the new player when the game first came out by looking at that, because most of them, I can't say most, many of them that I came across, I'll put it that way, many of them that I came across would go ahead and don that gold hem armor and be armed with a lightning spear, Alright, so we're back at the parish. We're going to go ahead and descend down the elevator shaft. I really think that witch's cloak is pretty cool looking, especially for the female characters. Right? But I need a little diversity because most of my females are rocking that, so I'm going to have to kind of switch it up a little bit. Alright. So actually, now, if you guys are new to the game, this might be a little helpful. There are 2 titanite slabs that you can get in the game. Right? Well, actually, let me correct myself. There are 2 that you can find in the game, right? Because you can actually get more if you want to go through the grinding process of farming, right? Farming the dark wraiths. But if you do not want to farm, there are 2 titanite slabs that you can get. I'm showing you the location of one of the titanite slabs. And actually, that's kind of inaccurate. I'm not showing you a location. I'm going to take you to a boss that you would have to beat in order to get the titanite slabs. That's a little more accurate. Alright, back at the Asylum. Alright. Let's go ahead and tighten these up. These guys can be a headache when they have that little charging attack. I've been killed a few times with that charging attack. Alright, now, if you guys notice, I did not use the bonfire, right? And the reason being, once I get the items that I will need from this area, I'm basically just going to go ahead and use a homework bone to return to my last bonfire. You know, because I don't really want to go all the way back up, go through the nest, you know, get transported by the raven and go from there, right? I'd just rather go ahead and use the faster means by using the homework bone. Now, strategy for this in the event that you guys are new to the game. It's pretty easy. I do not use the reticle on or the lock on option. I basically just freestyle it. This particular, what's this thing called? The Stray Demon. Okay, so the Stray Demon basically does about, I think, 3 attacks. Right, there's the weapon thrust, what I would call. You know, he kind of just slowly raises his weapon, then he thrusts it down, and then there's a flame burst around it. And then there's kind of like a, you know, the Stray Demon will do kind of like this horizontal swipe, but the swipe will produce a similar flame as the down thrust does. And then you just have a regular attack where he just kind of lunge forwards, and you know, he kind of swing twice at you. So basically that's all you have to do. Basically what I'm doing, dodge the few attacks. Pretty easy. You know, even if you're playing the game from scratch and maybe you may have the, I think it's the dragon tail sword or dragon sword, whatever it is, but whatever the name of that sword is that you get from cutting the tail off that red dragon. And you know what, by the way, I've never been able to kill that dragon. Right? As many times I've played this game, I have not killed that dragon. You know, so if any of you guys know some high-speed ways to kill it, you know, and actually, let me kind of put a spin on that. In a way other than, you know, using 300 arrows, going up the steps, down the steps, up the steps, down the steps, hitting them with 1 or 2 arrows at a time. I mean, that's kind of long. You know, even if that is a way to kill it, I mean, that kind of takes forever. I'm not going to be doing that. But if you have a more effective way to get rid of it, I mean, drop a comment. I would love to kill it for the first time after about 500 hours of this game. Alright, so we just received the Strange Dowel. And for you guys that are not familiar with what that is, it allows you entry into the Painted World. If you try to enter the Painted World without the Strange Dowel, you will be denied access, right? It'll say something like contraption does not seem to work. But once you get the Strange Dowel, you can enter the Painted World. And we'll take a tour into the Painted World a little later on. Alright, back down the elevator shaft. Alright, nothing's really going on. Alright, back at the Firelink Shrine. There's the pyromancer that we freed. Alright, we just set at the bonfire. So in the event that we end up dying between here and our next destination, we can always be reset to the closest bonfire. Alright. So now we are going to descend into Blighttown. Now, we could have done this earlier, but you guys remember, I believe it's the 2nd or 3rd vid of this series. After we killed the gaping dragon, we had an option to go into Blighttown, another route, right? But we're going to go ahead and use this route. And this is the route that I usually take, right? It's not long, it's not all drawn out. You don't have to go through all those ladders. It's basically a straightforward way down into Blighttown. Alright. Go ahead and tighten up these ghouls. Give them a nice parry. Unfortunately, I got attacked. Alright. Refresh myself a little bit. Try to parry one of these guys one more time. Alright, nice parry for him. And one more ghoul to go. Get a little dung pie. I actually used to use those when I first started PvP. Not anymore. I mean, it's kind of like a nuisance. Alright. Blighttown. Alright, so here's a key that we're going to go ahead and pick up. Alright. Now, here's the thing about these keys. Because I have the master key, I am really unfamiliar with what all these keys do. Right? I really do not know, because once you get the master key, you pretty much have access to most gates that you would not be allowed access if you did not have the master key. So because I use the master key all the time, I actually don't even know what routes I would be denied if I didn't have the key, you know. So, you know, even though that says, like, you know, Londo, I don't really know what exactly, like where in Londo. Alright, so let's go ahead and grab a Firekeeper Soul. And that will give us an Estus Flask +5. Tighten up these little red dragons that can be an annoyance. Alright, Firekeeper Soul. It would have been cool to have a bonfire there. Alright. Speaking of bonfire, you know, in the next Souls game, I kind of hope they get rid of the bonfires. Right? I think that's one of the things that made Demon Souls so difficult. Because you really had to get proficient with regard to knowing the enemies, understanding their attacks, and being able to defend against those attacks all the way up till you get to the boss. You know, I mean, that really, that's probably one of the things that made the game really difficult. Now, I'm not saying that Dark Souls wasn't difficult, but what I am saying is the bonfires, I mean, you know, it kind of gives you a break. Now, I do think they're evenly spaced, but at the end of the day, I think this game would have been a lot harder had there not been bonfires. Right. I also hope they bring back the white and black world tendencies. I like that. That was a cool idea. Now, one thing I wish they do change is those ridiculous balso weapons, because those things suck. All of them. I mean, maybe Gwen's sword is kind of cool. I mean, I'd never use it, but maybe that weapon is kind of cool. But for the most part, those balsos suck. At least in my opinion. Maybe the Chaos sword is kind of cool, you know. But other than that, no, I'll pass on all of them. I'm good with the regular weapons. Alright. Bonfire lit. Alright, let's kind of level up a little bit. Take us up to 56. Now at this point, we can actually start doing invading, right? Doing some invasions without being charged with being a griefer, right? So we're going to go ahead and try one. And we'll kind of see how successful that is. But unfortunately, it took me like 4 attempts and I got 0. So we're just going to go ahead and try to, attempt to defeat the boss. Now, why do I say attempt? The reason why I say attempt is because, sometimes when you've been doing something long enough, right, it kind of gets you kind of get complacent with regard to it, right? And Quelaag, she can kind of get you sometimes. I mean, especially when you first rush in and she do that jump attack and kind of, just drown you in that lava. I mean, I've been caught with that a few times, right? And I was not a noob, right? This is after a few playthroughs. So this is why I always say attempt to kill, right? I don't want to get too cocky with it. Alright. So let's go ahead and summon good old Mildred. The high-speed bag over her head. Alright, and Mildred is here. Who, by the way, has pretty good fire defense. Alright, the Witch Quelaag. Well, fortunately, she didn't give us that jump attack that I was just talking about. And that particular attack can really drain your HP. I'm pretty sure some of you guys can identify with that. I've seen a lot of my white phantoms die because of that attack. Especially in the early stages when you're playing from scratch. Alright. So I'm just going to go ahead and poke it up with my S-stock. And basically I kill most of my bosses. Actually, I don't really, use the rapiers only for PvP. Right? You guys will notice that I fight like every boss with rapiers, right? So it's not like, in the brigade we just use it for PvP because as some will believe it's overpowered. No, I use it all the time. I use all the rapiers, whether it's PvP or PvE, right? Alright, so the queen is dead. Well, actually the witch is dead. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed this particular vid. Stay tuned for the next part. Martyr's Brigade is